Okay, this is the answer to evaluation question 5. What kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why? So before deciding on this, I researched some media institutions that distribute music magazines. So the first one that I looked at was Bauer Media Group, and this media group distributes Kerrang and Q Magazine. An advantage of if my magazine was published by Bauer Media Group would be that they have a large audience already from already having successful magazines such as Kerrang and Q, so they would know how to distribute my magazine successfully. But a disadvantage of this would be that it would be unlikely that they would distribute it because it's not a similar genre to the other ones that they've published, so they might be inexperienced in hip hop and they wouldn't know how to promote it right, and it just wouldn't really be suitable for the genre of my magazine. The second one I looked at was IPC Media Group, and this media group distributes magazines targeting different audiences. So, for example, Connect targets the mass market for women with magazines such as Teen Now, What's on TV, and Chat. Southbank, which targets upmarket women, and this includes Marie Claire and InStyle, and the Inspire Group, which targets men. So, if I had my magazine distributed by them, it would probably be distributed by Connect. Advantage of if my magazine was going to be published by this group would be that they have a clear groups for the target audiences, so my magazine could easily fit into the female group. But disadvantages would be that they don't actually distribute any magazines which focus on music, so they wouldn't be experienced in how to publish a music magazine, and it just wouldn't really fit into their company. Another publication that I looked at was Harris Publications, which distributes magazines such as XXL, Guitar World, and Electro. And I thought this would be a good group because they already distribute a hip hop magazine, so they'd have experience with that genre. And because their magazine, the only hip hop magazine they publish is XXL, which is aimed towards men, so if mine was distributed for them, they'd be able to promote it easily and they'd be catering to another audience. So they'd have a unique magazine to sell and there'd be no competition for it. And they publish more modern music magazines which are targeted towards niche audiences such as electro, so my magazine would fit in well with their company. A disadvantage would be that they're an American company and my magazine needs to be UK based, so it would be difficult to persuade them to publish my magazine to a small UK audience because my magazine is quite niche. And because they're an American company, they might want to publish the magazine, but only featuring American artists, so it can be sold in the USA and cater to that audience, which I compromise on, but I wouldn't want my magazine to isolate the UK target audience like other magazines such as XXL and Vibe do. Another more unconventional institution I looked at was Vice Media, and Vice is actually a magazine, but it also distributes other things. So it distributes British fashion magazine ID, and they also have a record label. So the advantages of using Vice would be that with the record label, the magazine would have experience with music, and they would probably know how to publish and promote the magazine correctly. And because the magazine I've created features fashion, the magazine would the institution would be experienced in publishing my magazine because it has the fashion aspect to it. But the disadvantage is that the magazine is a US publication, so I'd have to convince them to publish my magazine to such a small niche audience. Another institution I looked at was Waddle Media, which distributes fashion and music magazine Dazed and Confused. So an advantage of using Waddle Media would be that it already publishes a music fashion magazine, which means that they would have experience in this field of publication. But disadvantages would be that there might not be much of a point in actually distributing mine because they already have a magazine so similar. And the last institution I looked at was Spin Media. So this distributes a range of music magazines from punk, pop, and hip hop, such as Vibe magazine. An advantage of using Spin would be that their experience in publishing music magazines, because they publish Vibe, so they would know how to promote it and distribute it correctly. But a disadvantage would be that because it's USA based again, They might not want to publish such a small, or a magazine that appeals to such a small audience. I feel like even if my magazine was distributed by the publications with already existing hip hop magazines such as Vibrant XXL, there would be no competition for my magazine, as currently there is no British hip hop magazine that appeals to females. Because of how specific the audience is, I wouldn't have to worry about competition. The magazine publisher might want to actually increase the size of my audience because it's such a small audience. So, for example, they may want to make it less feminine, so it appeals to males and females, and I could come to an agreement to this, so that the female audience aren't actually isolated like other magazines are. And in conclusion, I would probably pick Harris Publications to distribute my magazine because they have the experience in publishing XXL and they'd have a target audience. I just need to do a lot of convincing to convince them to actually publish it.